I am Tonya Morman. Well, little known fact, I grew up in East Florence, right across the street from the train station. So my roots are East Florence, South Carolina. Just in the days I was down from Marita Bakery, we could smell the bread, bacon, and directly in front of the train station. So we were watching trains come in, watching trains leave. We played on those train tracks, you know what I'm saying? So that's where the roots are from. And from there, we moved over to the Spalding Heights community. And another little known fact, what I really love about being from Spalding Heights is that it was one of the first communities where Black people could buy brick homes in Florence. So that was like a really big deal. And we're talking about, you know, this community was started in the 1960s. So it feels really good to be from a historically Black neighborhood. I went to Wilson High School, historically Black high school, you know, formed in 1866. We still hold that today. We're one of the, I think, like last remaining historically Black high schools in the United States. So that's, you know, another thing that is really just a powerful thing for me. So just being able to be from a culture of Black people who were proud to own homes, who had a proud and a pride for education, wonderful thing, man. Well, man.
Hello, my name is Monisha Epps, and I am the owner of Daily Living Adult Daycare Facility. The facility is about getting seniors out of being home and just being stuck at home all day. So it's a place for them to come and interact with peers of themselves. We take anyone from the ages of 18 and older, and we also take someone that has Alzheimer's, dementia, and they don't actually have to have a mental or health issue. They still can come to the facility. At the facility, we assist them with activities of daily living that includes things like bingo, arts and craft, painting, different things that we can do that can keep them busy. We have two locations. We have one in King Street and we have one in Florence, which is one of our newer locations. We are located on 500 Pamlico Highway, Suite G, and my contact number is 843-206-9042, or you can contact me via email at dailylivingllc@yahoo.com. And we'll be here to take care of your loved ones during the day while you're away.
On the Spot Handyman Service is here to provide you with high quality services that you can depend on.
There's a spot. We definitely on the spot.
Guaranteed. Need an addition? Need a structure built from the ground up? We do all interior and exterior remodels and upgrades. On the Spot Handyman Service. On the Spot Handyman Service. Need a handyman? We're on the spot. On the Spot Handyman Service. Give us a call at 626-240-8632. That's 626-240-8632.
Are you in search of residential or commercial services like cleaning, moving, landscaping? Book us at we'realldone.com or dial 843-206-7550.
Well, man, just a lot of support, a lot of family values. My family valued education, my family, working class family, people who went to work every day, worked for the things that they wanted, worked to provide for their children. My actual parents divorced when I was really, really young, but I still grew up in a family environment. Both my parents remarried, so I have a blended family, but I always had my mother's support, always had my father's support. My mother spoiled me. She made me feel like I could do anything. So I grew up thinking that, you know, there's nothing that I couldn't do. And I grew up with a mother who paid attention to us as children. She paid attention to the fact that I was an artist. And that's a great thing because she paid attention to the fact that I like drawing, I like coloring. She always brought me crayons and sketchbooks and art supplies. So I had no idea that I couldn't be an artist. She made me feel like that was something that I could do. Now I want to circle back a little bit because I told you that I grew up in East Florence. And I know a lot about, the history of my little town. And I know that you know this too. But William H. Johnson is from Florence, South Carolina. William H. Johnson is from East Florence. So his family, my family knew his family. We still know his family. We know the survivors of his family today. So growing up in those same neighborhoods, going to the same church, it was awesome, So I got love. I got support. Education, always important. It was never a question of whether or not I would go to college. I grew up in a home where and back in those days, we lived more like blended families, which is something I think we should get back to, actually. So my aunt grew up in the home with me. I was with my grandmother, my mother, my uncle. We were all there. And so my aunt was, let me see how many years older. She's like 5 years older than I am. So I watched her go to school and high school, and I watched her go to college. So that was normal. Now, we weren't wealthy. Like I said, working class family, but we knew that education would take us somewhere. And so I watched her go to college. So naturally, I thought that college was the thing to do. That was the next step. So I feel blessed, man. Just blessed. I am the oldest of 4 daughters. My mom has 4 girls. So being the oldest, I have 3 sisters. We all, like I said, everybody went to school. We grew up and supported each other. We still support each other to this day. We take our girls' trips as adults. We're vacationing everywhere. We've always traveled. Our family traveled when we were really young. I was traveling out of the country before it was necessary for us to have passports. I remember going to Jamaica, when I was like maybe, let me try to think about what age I was. Maybe 8 or 9. I was already traveling out of the country, so I didn't know that we couldn't travel. So I never thought that you had to be wealthy to do these type of things. I didn't think you had to be wealthy to go to college. You didn't have to be wealthy to travel. These are all things that we did as a working class family. Just a family with values and a family who appreciated each other and supported each other. That's what I got. That's what we do. So that's it, man. Always know and remember myself to be an artist. So young that I can't even tell you what the inspiration really was. It might sound crazy, but coloring books. Serious. Coloring books. I used to love to color. And I just, I had this thing where I wanted to color in the lines. I wanted it to have evenness in its tones. And I found myself, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just learned how to shade and just do all of those things with coloring books. And that's at a really young age. And my mom knew that I liked to color, so she kept buying me coloring books. She kept buying me crayons. And so by the time, I had this love for coloring and coloring books, now I'm starting to draw my own characters. I like comic strips. Every Sunday when the paper came and we got that comic strip, I had to have it, right? And so I'd get that comic strip and I just started, drawing those characters, cartoons. I love like Hanna-Barbera. I love like the Flintstones and the Jetsons. And I even love Scooby-Doo, and I just started drawing those characters. So I felt like that's where it started. Very simple, coloring books and cartoons. That's a really good question. It just made me feel like I could go into my own world. It was something that I could do. You could start with a blank sheet of paper and create something, So it made me feel like you can make something from nothing. Now, I don't know necessarily that I had that exact interpretation at such a young age, but I did realize that I could take a piece of paper, pencil, crayons, or whatever it was, and I could just go into my own world and just draw, color. And that just ate up a whole lot of my time, and I'd just be in that world. Nothing could take me there, and I felt comfortable. And then, of course, being young and your parents, they're giving you, they look at what you're doing and they're like, wow, you've done such a good job. So, you're getting that praise for doing that, and that just encouraged you to do it more. And so that just encouraged me to continue and encouraged me to get better.
Have an issue with anger management? Stop. Think. Walk. Run. Laugh. Dance. Relax. Breathe. Change location. Listen to music. Talk to someone. Take charge of your mental and behavioral health. Get help.
Good Life Fitness. Have you heard about us? If you haven't, you will. We are located at 400 East South Village Boulevard. We're new to the community. However, we're not new to the community because we're implants from this community. Is that we're a little different than your box gym. Nothing wrong with the box gym. However, Good Life Fitness, we focus on your spiritual well-being, your physical well-being, and internal well-being. And I think that with the programs that we put together here in Good Life Fitness, it's life-changing. You'll hear me say to our clients, one day at a time, one rep at a time. And I truly believe that because that's what it takes in order to achieve your goals. It's not going to happen one day, 2 days. It's going to happen in 2 months, 3 months, a year. Stick to the programs, and that's how you get better. That's how you get stronger. I'm a living witness. When you put the work in, you get the results. And here at Good Life Fitness, we definitely put in the work. Trust me.
We'd love to have you join us. You could go online, www.goodlifefitnesscpr.com, www.goodlifefitnesscpr.com. You can follow us on Facebook at Good Life Fitness. You can follow us on Instagram at Good Life Fitness CPR. We'd love to have you join our team.
That's right. Keep living the good life.
So I started out as a drawing artist. Well, for me, they kind of, they played a role together because in terms of academics, I was still very academically inclined, because I liked reading. My mother read to us. I remember my mom reading to us at night before we went to bed. She read us nursery rhymes, children's books, and so that's how that's where I really fell in love with poetry. I know we didn't get there yet, but, so I'm drawing and my mom's reading to us. So, education was important. They thought I was smart, or they told me that I was smart. So that made me want to be smart, So I read. So if you read, what happens? So I knew stuff. So I really was a smart kid. I read, I did the work, I did the assignments. Completing assignments was important to me. So being an artist was something, but that didn't take away from the academics. So I was smart, and they also knew that I could draw. So I had both of them. So I could be in whichever lane I chose to be in. Now, in class, if there were things that I may not be interested in, because that's what kids do. I mean, we're going to be in classes and our attention is going to go somewhere. So, of course, I doodled a lot, On the sides of my notebooks and taking notes. I've got, I'm drawing. So yeah, there were times when teachers were like, are you paying attention? They're thinking I'm taking notes, but I'm back there drawing. But I'm listening, I'm still listening. But you come and watch my notebook, and I've got drawings and I've got doodles all over the place. You're right. She was a huge influence because she was smart. So I had to be like her. I've got to be smart too. She got good grades. Like I said, she went to college, so I had to go to college too. In terms of being an artist, I really was the only artist in the family at that particular time. Nobody was drawing or doing anything like that. That was just my own thing that I just picked up because of those doggone coloring books and those comic strips. All of us as artists, I feel like we probably feel that same thing. And that's why, for me, as an artist now, as an author now, I find it important to share these things is because I know what type of impact it can have on a life. Because I know what it did for me. Wow, man. There are so many. Baldwin. You can't talk about Black literature or Black culture if you have not had the opportunity to read some of his works, in terms of poets that I really like, Nikki Giovanni, Gwendolyn Brooks, Dr. Maya Angelou, Phyllis Wheatley, and I cannot leave her out. Being from South Carolina, and I found out about this particular poet much later in life, but I love her work because she's just an awesome storyteller. Nikki Finney, who happens to be from South Carolina. And she just kind of changed the way I thought about poetry. I always liked poetry, but just being able to read her works and the way she tells a story, I could go on and on talking about her. But I encourage people to read anything. Read something. Find out what you like, I like reading all kinds of books. In my adult life, I like reading Elizabeth Gilbert. She's got books and a way of writing that, I really enjoy. I like reading self-help books. I like the Deepak Chopras. I like, what's my man's name? I just kind of drew a blank here. But you get what I'm saying. Just open a book and read it. Whatever it is. I don't know how I feel about that because I'm like, wow, thank you. But it's kind of scary because I can't be her. I'm not at all trying to be her, right. But definitely someone that I revere. If you want to follow someone who is an activist in our community, someone who cares about our culture, someone who puts it on paper, takes the time to pen it. Couldn't think of a better person. So I take it, but my writing isn't anything like hers at all. So I kind of shy away from people saying that because I'm like, listen, I am no Nikki Giovanni.
All right, I know you guys are enjoying this content. You gotta stay plugged in with us here at In the Flow. You don't want to miss it.
Happy holidays from Mount Zion FilmsWorks and Publishing, LLC. Merry Christmas.
We bless your name forever.
Hey yo, I like I'm brown, yellow, Puerto Rican, and Haitian. Name is Buddha from the East Side Nation. You see what it is, man. I'm in the flow, hanging out right here, man, at the big East Side reunion party, man. It's going down. You already know what I represent, man. Cumulus Broadcasting. I'm hanging out right now with my brother Walik, and I'm in the flow. You got it? East Side. We got more work to do, all right? Stay ready.
You made so every time, so you want to come back before?
This is where you need to be. You need it, come get it. You're putting in work. This is the good life, baby. Change your bodies one day at a time, one rep at a time. Trust me, nothing like it out there. This is the good life. Come get that flow.
Are you in search of residential or commercial services like cleaning, moving, landscaping? Book us at we'realldone.com or dial 843-206-7550.
But thank you. Well, I feel like my voice, just like any poet, we're the voice of the community. We are the heartbeat of what is happening and going on in our community. And I feel like, and you'll hear poets say this, and you probably heard it, but it's our responsibility to tell the story. We've got to tell our stories, you know? So I don't necessarily feel like I'm doing anything particularly special or different from them. I'm just coming with a different voice and my times, my generation. And believe it or not, we might cover a whole lot of the same themes and subject matters because what we experience as Black culture here in America is the same. You know, I often question whether or not how far have we really gone? Because I can talk about some of the same things that they talked about, but it's just within my generation, within, you know, my lifespan. So that would be the big difference. But I feel like it's my responsibility, and I take it very seriously because words are important. You've got to be careful with your words. Like, I'm sitting here talking with you now, and I just want to tell you my natural answers, my natural opinion about things. However, in conversation, I feel like I can talk and I could say some things that may touch on some people's feelings, maybe. You know, we can say some things that could be considered out of pocket. But when I'm writing, I am very careful with the words that I choose to use because I know that they're there. Well, they're there, it's on paper, and once it's published, I can't take those back. Now, I can grow. There may be some things in this book right now that I felt when I was writing, and maybe tomorrow or 10 years from now or 20 years from now, I don't mind if I feel different about it because maybe I learned something different. Maybe I have a better understanding now. So I don't feel like I can't change from this. I feel like I can grow from this, but it is definitely what I felt, and there was a reason for that. And that is because of the culture around me, the experiences around me. No, I don't think you should. I don't think you should have limits, because if you have a limit, then that means you're not telling your truth. You know? What can I say? Because I experienced it. So if I experienced it, why can I not say it? If I experienced it, I'm pretty sure that there's somebody else who experienced it as well. So I'm not saying anything that people don't know about. They experience it. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm just living it. I just happen to take the time to write about it. That's probably where the poet is. That's where the writer is. Because, like I said, this is all of the stuff that's in the Little Black Book of Poetry. This is your life too. But what makes me the poet and what makes me the author is because I wrote it, while many other people are just experiencing it, thinking about it, healing from it, or doing whatever it is that they choose to do. So whatever medium they choose to use, a painter paints theirs, right? Then you've got a film director who actually put that through media, moving pictures, photographers. So it just depends on which medium you choose to use to express that experience. Yeah, man. The little black book of poetry. Life. What we are experiencing, what we have experienced. You know, just timeless themes in black culture, from politics to family, anything that could happen in our lives and things that are happening to us. Right now we're living in the era of what's going on with the George Floyds, the Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, and that's just one aspect of it. But, you know, dealing with those type of situations, and then talking about some of our family situations, talking about what's going on in politics, what could bring unity, and if that is a thing, can we get there? And the little black book of poetry is really, it's simply what it says. It's simply what the title says. It's a little black book of poetry. It's a little book of black poems from the black experience, my feelings. And when you read the book and when you decide to read the book, your feelings. I wanted it to just be plain in terms of the cover. I just wanted it to be black. Just wanted to have the title on it. If you notice, I don't have a picture or anything. A lot of times with authors, you'll see they have their picture somewhere, maybe on the back of the book. I didn't want it there either. I just wanted whoever might be influenced to say, okay, what could this possibly be about? And if they bought it and decided to read it, that's when you'll find out who Tonya Morman is. You know, so I didn't want to give them a look. I didn't want to put any pictures in their mind. I wanted them to do that themselves. And then something that's kind of quirky, and some people might get this and maybe not, and it's not a big thing, but even with the font, I wanted it to be just big and black and bold and in your face, you know, because that's who we are. We're here, we're black, we're bold, with a lot of the pieces in here. When you get a chance to flip through, you might notice that I don't put many breaks, you know, and I did that on purpose because I don't even want you to breathe. I want you to breathe where you feel like you want to breathe, because we feel like we can't breathe. You know? Don't breathe because we can't breathe. I want you to feel that. Take the breath where you feel like you can take the breath. It's yours now. I've done my part. So that's just one of the little quirky behind the scene tidbits that I did with the book, very intentional. Wow, I tell you what, this is really one of the hardest things that I've ever done today. One of the most difficult things I've ever done. It was more challenging than I could have imagined it would be. And that's not to say that, you know, I didn't think authors or people who were writing books of poetry that, you know, they just kind of threw it together. But it's a different beast when you actually sit down to do the project yourself. But I have to say, you know, I've been writing for many years, over 40, since a youth I've been writing. So I was like, you know, I've got all of these poems, you know, let me just pull some poems, put a collection together and put a book out. Oh, wow. I don't know what I was thinking because it wasn't that easy. I did pull some poems, and to be honest, I was writing a different book at the time. And these Black poems just kept coming through. You know, what we've been going through these past few years has just been so much. It's just been a lot. So expressing that through poetry is just a release for me. And they just continue to come through, continue to come through. I'm like, why is this happening, you know? So I found myself at a place where I was literally writing 2 books at the same time. So I was getting in my own way, you know what I mean? And I was like, I got to give one of these up. I got to put, you know, I've got to really put a focus. I got to get a tunnel vision and decide what I want to do here. And the Little Black Book of Poetry just, it wouldn't leave me alone. The same way they won't leave us alone, you know? And that's how it came together, man. And I'm a storyteller. You know, I'm into media, you know, independent film. So I always tell a story, or that is my, that's my goal. I want to tell a story. So I couldn't just choose poems and put them on pages and send it to the printer. No, I needed it to cohesively tell a story. Yes, they are individual. Each poem is an individual story. It should be able to stand up on its own. But together, as a collection, I needed them to flow and tell a story together. So I hope that I accomplished that. That was a goal. So my hope is that I accomplish it. I can't say that. I can't be the judge of that. Like I say, I've done my part. Now it's up to the reader.
Hello, I'm Reverend Terry Alexander, asking you to join me every morning at 7 o'clock a.m. with Prayer Time with Terry. God is always willing to give, but we are so slow to ask. We must be intentional in our asking of God. Again, join me every morning at 7 o'clock a.m. with Prayer Time with Terry. Start your day with prayer.
On the Spot Handyman Service is here to provide you with high quality services that you can depend on.
There's a spot. We definitely on the spot.
Guaranteed. Need an addition? Need a structure built from the ground up? We do all interior and exterior remodels and upgrades. On the Spot Handyman Service. On the Spot Handyman Service. Need a handyman? We're on the spot. On the Spot Handyman Service. Give us a call at 626-240-8632. That's 626-240-8632.
Monisha Epps, and I am the owner of Daily Living Adult Daycare Facility. The facility is about getting seniors out of being home and just being stuck at home all day. So it's a place for them to come and interact with peers of themselves. We take anyone from the ages of 18 and older, and we also take someone that has Alzheimer's, dementia, and they don't actually have to have a mental or health issue. They still can come to the facility. At the facility, we assist them with activities of daily living that includes things like bingo, arts and craft, painting, different things that we can do that can keep them busy. We have 2 locations. We have one in King Street and we have one in Florence, which is one of our newer locations. We are located on 500 Pamlico Highway, Suite G, and my contact number is 843-206-9042, or you can contact me via email at dailylivingllc@yahoo.com. And we'll be here to take care of your loved ones during the day while you're away.
Are you in search of residential or commercial services like cleaning, moving, landscaping? Book us at we'realldone.com or dial 843-206-7550.
Well, I mean, you're right, because I am a mother. You know, I have a daughter, I have a son, and I have stepchildren as well, and you're right. I love them, but you have to love them differently. And you do love them for different reasons, and you have to love them differently because you want to guide them and hold them and make them feel whole, you know, so you can't love them the same. Which poem I feel speaks to me? Man, I hate that question. I like that question, but I hate that question. Because I don't want people to really know what my favorite is. I want them to have their favorite, you know? Let me flip through here. Okay, see, I let the book talk. Yeah, we do. That's one. Yeah, we do is one that speaks to Black women and what we do and our accomplishments. And when you're online, you know, you hear about, we got that Black girl magic, you know, hashtag our melanin is popping, hashtag Black girls rock. And I was like, yeah, we do. You know, so that poem goes into what we have contributed to America and to the world as Black women. So that's a piece that is kind of near and dear to my heart. And it's a piece that a lot of people kind of gravitate towards anytime I'm doing a live event or if I'm speaking somewhere. That's one of the poems that people really get into. So I dig that one a lot, right? And then I've, let me see what page we got on here. See, I don't flip through this book as much now, but it feels good to have it in my hand. Let's see. Okay, here we go. The blackest thing, right? The blackest thing I can do is be Black. And God did that. And that's that poem. I feel like it said what it needed to say. And so people ask me, like, how can you write a poem and it's just like 3 lines? Well, I feel like I said what I needed to say. The poem said what it needed to say. And so that's the poem. So it can go from something like Yeah, We Do, which is a poem at length, to something that is just very direct. And it says what it says, and it is what it is. Well, I tell you what, you know, we've got people who are questioning why Black Lives Matter. Now, why that happens to be a question, we could talk about that in length, and it could get political. But what I wanted people to be able to, if you can't understand why Black Lives Matter, understand why I feel my Black life matter. And that's what's in this book. So you'll get to hear where I've come from. You'll get to feel some of the experiences that I felt, seeing what's going on, being a part of a community, being a part of a nation, a world that hasn't always been kind to people who has skin like ours or like mine. So if you want to know, read this book. And I'm not delivering it in an angry way. It's just a matter of fact, very conversational. I use Ebonics. I speak in a language that we are used to. It's not a hard read. It's an easy read. Oftentimes I find with books of poetry, and I love poetry, and I have to be honest, and I think a lot of poets will be honest about this, but books of poetry are not typically easy reads. If you're not just like a die-hard poetry lover, you probably won't read a whole poetry book. You'll have some pieces in it that you like, you'll flip through it, you might be able to relate to some of it, but typically poetry books are just not easy reads. I wanted this to be an easy read. I wanted it to be something that somebody else could relate to. I hope I've been able to do that. I feel like I've been very transparent. I was willing to be honest. I was willing to put it on paper, and I was willing to stand behind it. There's very little more powerful than the written word, and especially once it is printed, because you cannot take it back. It is out there. Like I told you before, the only thing that I can do now that I've decided to put this out is grow from here. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I lived it. This is how I felt about it at this particular time. The only other thing I can do is learn something more and grow from here. That's it. But it doesn't change the reality of it, because I really experienced it. I really lived it. I really wrote it. And then also, I mean, everything I don't have to particularly experience it in the exact detail. But once I can see it and live in the community of it and the time of it, that too is my experience. So, just in terms of detail, maybe not have experienced everything, but I know the life, I know the culture. If I know you and you experienced it and you told me, then you gave me that experience. Well, I wrote about it. Besides just have a feeling about it. You dig what I'm saying? This book is for anybody who wants to understand why Black Lives Matter. And you can be Black, you can be white, you can be from any culture. And if you want to understand something about my culture, I've given it to you. My culture through my experiences. Because I haven't lived every aspect of the culture, but my culture through my experiences are in this book. And you can understand why it's important, or why I feel like it's important. If you don't want to feel like it's important, okay. But you'll understand why it was important to me. You'll understand what made me write it. Because really, I could say that this book might not even be for Black people, because there isn't anything in this book that you don't know. There isn't anything in this book that a whole lot of Black people haven't experienced it. You see it on the news every day. You see it in your neighborhoods. You see it in your community. You know. So maybe this book is for people who are non-Blacks. Maybe this book is for that person who doesn't understand. And if you can walk away from reading this book, because you'll have to read it to not like it. You can't just not like it. If you see the title, The Little Black Book of Poetry, and that turns you off and you feel like you don't like it, well, I don't feel like that's a genuine dislike. You don't even know if you don't like it because you haven't read it. So I won't take like criticisms from anybody who feels like The Little Black Book of Poetry, oh, that's just some more black ass poems. No, read it and then tell me why you don't like it. You can't say that our lives don't matter, or that you don't like us or our culture or what we have to say or how we say it if you don't know it. So I'm sharing it with you. Read it. It is available on Amazon.com. I also have it available wherever I'm at events, different author networkings, different pop-up shops, festivals, events. But it's there. Everybody knows how to go to Amazon.com. It's really easy. And just to find out more I made it really, really simple. All they have to do is go to www.thelittleblackbookofpoetry.com. So you'll find out how you can get the book. You find out a little about me, and then you take it from there. I keep saying this, but I've done my job with this. I'm done. It's yours now. Well, spoken word is growing so much now in our community. One of the things that I feel really proud about is being one of the persons who has been behind pushing spoken word and pushing poetry with open mic events, poetry readings, coupling that with jazz, because they are brother and sister. You know, you really can't have one without the other. Poets speak in a jazz type of way. So it is birthed from that in terms of cadence, you know. So we have it now. And what I like to feel like right now, today, we are experiencing a Southern Renaissance. It's our time, you know. The Harlem Renaissance, we're very aware of its impact on our culture and the impact on the arts. And right now, I feel like if you look at where movies are being made down south, what Tyler Perry is doing, there's just like a whole black Hollywood with the music we have here now in the South. We've got our own sound. We've got poetry out here now, poets who are from the South. Poets like Nikki Finney. There's so many young poets who are coming out. Poets like Georgia Me, Tamika, who's out of Atlanta, Georgia. Someone who I really love a lot, who shares so much with poets overall. You know, I just love what she does. And in fact, I became aware of her when I went to a Jill Scott concert in Columbia, South Carolina. I went to a Jill Scott concert. I'm going because I love Jill Scott, right? And so her opening act, which I didn't know, was Georgia Me. Blew my mind. I was like, what? I was like, is this what we're doing now? Poets are opening up at concerts. And come on, Jill Scott is a poet. So she didn't have to have a poet open up. That didn't have to be a thing, but it was. And, you know, I just watched her and I listened to her, and she was talking to the poets who were out in the audience, which I don't know necessarily that she was talking to any specific group of poets or knew that poets might be in the building. But of course, if you love Jill Scott, you probably are into some poetry. So she was just talking about, you know, poetry and where it is and how it could grow in these times. And I just listened to that. And I took a lot of that in because I was already doing open mics and poetry readings and kind of building the culture here. And so I started following her and I started listening to some of the advices that she was given, and everything that she was feeding me, I did. And that helped grow what we have going on now. You know, the More Than Words art community. That's with my partner in all good crimes, I always say, Tyler Davis, who is one of my favorite poets. He's a bad boy, but he's behind it. More Than Words is an art community. We promote visual artists, musicians, writers, photographers. And so we just came together as a community of artists and just build upon that. And I'm just happy to see it grow. And we're just here for the young people who feel like this is what they want to do. Because when I was growing up, we didn't have it. You know, there wasn't a place where I could go. I couldn't go downtown and go to a poetry event or hear jazz music. It wasn't really popular. So I wanted to be a part of a group and a part of activists who felt it was important to push that.